Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and some more repairs. I hope we're up for the next one. It's another Kriesler, but let's get these Chryslers out of the road. It's a TransMantle, this one. It's actually a 7 transistor solid state radio, which was in around the 1966 era. And it more or less took the place or evolved from this old girl, which was a 44.99, I think this one was. And you'll notice that the case, being in those days, they had mantle radios, and the transition to transistor pretty close as far as the case is concerned. I don't know what's wrong with this. I haven't opened it. Full resurrection, yeah, maybe we just want to get this one working and aligned. Yeah, a license number scratched into the top there, so not a real good thing to have to deal with. But anyway, this is the next project. I hope it's pretty straightforward. I hope it goes okay. So I'd like you to join me. Thank you very much for all the likes and subscribes for the channel. It's certainly helping us along. So let's take a look at this thing and see what's inside. I believe it runs on 9 volts, but I'm not absolutely certain until we get this thing apart. I've also downloaded a schematic on this and alignment details. Haven't looked at them yet. So we should be able to do this from start to finish, reasonably straightforward, and not an hour and a half video like there has been with the last couple of Chryslers. So let's get on with it, have a look, see what's inside. Okay, now looking over the radio, got on, off and tone control. We've got volume only and tuning, which the needle does move. Everything goes nicely. There's no vernier action or anything on this. It's just a very straightforward. I don't know how this is set up inside, but yeah, it does move from one end to the other. Couple of little cracks where the screws have gone in, and of course people have probably over tightened them. On the bottom, one little gold foot and one very ordinary piece with the gold surround missing, which, yeah, is a shame, but we might be able to tidy that up with a little bit of gold paint that we can put on there. That's what we're looking at. It's a 4129, and that's all about him. And there you go, a 276, which is a standard battery, or a 286. 286 was a slightly bigger battery, and just delivered a little bit better life. So yeah, 9 volt. Okay, now the back, 2 screws. Back is in reasonably good order. Handle's not broken, which is good. Most of the time, the little what am I saying? Most of the time, the little protrusions on the side of the handle are broken off, and that doesn't work. So we're lucky in that respect. Okay, I will lay him down, and I think you guys can. I'll just try and get a a good picture there for you. I'm going to have to get a chair that doesn't squeak, aren't I? This chair is shocking. Nice chair, works well, squeaks like anything. So there we go. Unscrew out. Yeah, so this is the transition in around 64 to 66 from the valves to transistor sets. And there we go. And you don't find that these days. Look at that. How's that? A little bit ratty in there, but still, it's a schematic and a layout. So, yeah, you certainly don't see that around. A little bit grotty in there, not terribly bad. And there she is. Not real keen on that fella. Not real keen at all. Yeah, the little post is he's gone. Totally gone. And boy, there's some mess down in there. There's all sorts of things in there. Been a few cockroaches, I think, around this fella. The board looks, not terribly bad. We don't have a direct drive on the tuning gang, so I'm not real sure how that works, but no doubt we shall find out. A little bit of corrosion down the bottom here, so probably once we get this out, battery compartment out, and do something with that. Otherwise, we're going to, before we do anything, we're going to fire it up. Going to put a bit of a current limit on it and fire it up. So we will need to get rid of the old plug, certainly. Get some decent wire here. Something we can hook onto. Now we just have positive and negative. It is germanium transistors, so I'm guessing we better check this. We better check it. Let's not go any further without checking what we've got here. Okay. That's a little bit better diagram than what's in the radio itself. Right. We have up this end battery negative. Press button for lamps. Oh, okay. That's there's a little button down here. Well, I was wondering what he does, which is dial lamps, which is that fella there. Now, battery. Here we go up here. Positives to ground and negative supply line. OC74 is on the output, OC75 is the driver, and pre-driver, well, the first audio is an OC71. OC70, 170, sorry, first RF. First IF is OC169, second IF, OC169, and we've used an OA79 detector, the detector diode there. So capacitors, well, as we know, possibly the first one to check on this side will be this this actually here, this 10 mic 16 volt if the voltage is low, the one that goes to the volume pot from the detector. So yeah, low volume that. Otherwise, well, we don't know anything yet. Hopefully this tranny's okay, hopefully, but yeah, we'll start at this. So we've just got to make sure positive is ground on this radio, and no one has modified it. So this is the red lead, which is this fellow, which comes over to here, which is our ground point, which red lead to there, and it's ground. It's actually surround ground. A little bit of corrosion or whatever along the top there, but I don't think there's anything bad. So we're looking at positive ground, negative supply. I will set my little power supply. We'll only use a little one here now. We'll set him up. There we go. Little power supply, voltage, a very analog one. The other one I use is over there, which is the digital supply. So, sorry about the camera jitter. So there is our power supply. Now, with this old girl, I made this power supply when I was 17, and I'm a lot older than that now. So that's how old that supply is. 1976, 1972, was in around 1971, 72 for an ETI 131 power supply. It was a kit. I built it when I was just a boy. Okay, we set it on 9 volts. Switch him down to current, short him out, bring the current back to 500 milliamp, which will be okay. Actually, I might set that a little bit less than that. We'll go 250 milliamp, and we'll check our current draw once we connect up. Okay, connect him up. Is we off? Yes, we're off. And on. And we have absolutely, as I will show you, absolutely. There we go. If I, sorry about the light, we have no current draw. Okay. That is not a good thing. First thing we check will be the on-off switch, which is in here. Black lead to there and some brown leads off it. So I put a meter on that fellow. Is he going to sit there? What can I get? Nothing. Actually, I'm going to close my my workshop door because this light is reflecting in. Okay, I have my positive lead of the meter to the positive, which is ground. We'll check here, and we have 9.3, which is around about my supply. I can take it back to pretty close to 9. There you go. Now, we'll poke our meter in there. We have on that side 9 volts. We have on the other side nothing. So there's our problem. It has no on-off switch. All right, for the time being, let's jump the on-off switch. And now we have about 200 milliamps or so. Now I may up that a little bit. We have looks like a capacitor reforming there. So we'll come back down here. Now our current, oh God, fucking tripod. Now, our meter says we're now drawing in around 50 milliamp or so, which is, and we'll just turn him up a bit.
Should you mention the word fire, but maybe
Very scratchy on the volume control. It's on or off.
he was telling a few fibs about his possible injury. Why would?
And okay, we're fairly distorted. Well, yeah, fairly distorted. So I would say some capacitors in here will certainly need changing. I don't know whether they're waxies or what the hell they are in here. We'll have to have a look at that. But anyway, does sort of work. Running on 9 volts, now drawing in around 25, 30 milliamps, which is normal initially. Yeah, fairly high there for a while, probably 250, 300 milliamp. Obviously, while there was a couple of electrodes reforming in here on the battery line. Now, what I'm going to do now is I know what the voltage is, so we shall take this off and let's measure the actual current draw of the radio itself. So I'll go around to my amps just so I know exactly. And there we go. 30 milliamps we're drawing at the moment. And she goes up a little bit there, but yeah, gets to 100 milliamps, no problem. But fairly big speaker, fairly hefty output, really, on this. Yeah, but extremely scratchy on the volume control. Tone control's the same. The switch doesn't work on the tone control, so we can't turn him on or off. We've just jumped it. And let's remove him from the case, see what's got to be done, see what electrodes are what in here, and yeah, and see what other surprises it's got for us. Okay, now for removing the chassis, I've downloaded this, as I've said to you, and look here, chassis removal. I've got to switch the receiver off. Well, that's always a good start, but depends on what you're doing. Remove the extension and the earth terminal screws at the back, which we have done, and we've got the back off. Remove the knobs and the 4 screws on the front of the cabinet. Okay. Chassis may now be removed. Reverse this procedure for reassembly. So, yeah, 4 screws and the knobs. Hopefully, the knobs come off quite easily. Well, that other one did. Here we go. This one actually has a broken shaft. One side of him, one side of the split has been broken off. Yeah, but still it's catered for with this, but yeah, didn't notice that. Okay, now I'm guessing this unscrews as per most Chryslers. Take him out. And here we go. Interesting setup, this. Right, that'll clean up quite nicely. Now, these little fellas, different sort of screwdriver, I think. We'll go for one up here. He's a bit loose, which sort of tells me maybe someone else has been in here. I always get a bit sus with screws that are loose. I'm only doing this video to give you guys an idea if you get one of these or what it was like in the day. This will probably be a fairly straightforward repair, not going to go into any extreme lengths on restoration. Ooh, looks like she's all coming apart. Okay. Front panel. Sit in there. And here's our dial string. This is this elusive gear assembly or whatever's there. Right. Comes off. As you can see, a little bit of... There's a critter in there, in that one. Looks like could have been an earwig or something like that. Right. There we go. Now, I'll actually bring a little bit of light around there onto him. Okay. Now, to have a look at the circuit board, it looks like 2 screws there, but there is the speaker wires. There's an earth point here. This little bracket here is pop riveted on, so he doesn't need to come off. And we have the external aerial wire, which goes over here through an inductor, and just an RF inductor, to this one, which is an insulated little bracket on that side, which is also pop riveted. Loop stick looks good, which is a bonus. Sometimes they're broken. Right. We'll probably have to do a little bit of unsoldering. And for the time being, we'll just evaluate this and see what's under here. Give us an idea of what's got to be done. The rubber under the screws has seen better days too. I don't know why there would be rubber, obviously to stop them coming undone, but yeah, it's... Anyway, this is an interesting turnout, this is. I think first of all we'll take our ground wire, excuse the camera there, take our earth wire off. Right. I really don't know how this is supposed to come up. We can't go forward there. We have this fellow, which is, looks like the oscillator from the tuning gang, come across here, and it doesn't want to go anywhere. So, yeah, maybe the thing to do with this for a start is to stop, take a few pictures of where everything is, and then we'll have to unsolder some gear to get this board out. This doesn't want to move at all. I'll just unsolder that one. I know where he goes, and to see if it lifts at all. Okay. Oh, yes, well, we do have it loosened up a lot on that side. Bending back a bit there. There we go. Now we're cooking. Okie doke. There we go. So, guys, let's bring in, have a look at this. This is an interesting one, this is. So, there we go. Here we've got a waxy. All these would be dead. I'm absolutely certain of it. Yeah, they're split on the top. So I think the first thing you would do with this little unit, replace all the electrodes and of course that waxy, and then measure up some voltages and everything else. He needs a bit of a clean up. Don't have to do a hell of a lot with cleaning. Down in there though, we do have our tone pot, which the switch is knackered in, so we've got to do something with him. A lot of rubbish around the volume control there, so just clean up. Okay, well that's it for the initial look at and evaluation of what we've got to do. It's what's written on him. So yeah, the back of the circuit board looks a little bit better than the front. Resistors, well, we don't know with these fellas. They do suck in the moisture and change their values after a while, these little Allen Bradley ones. So this little fella, yeah, well, he's popped his cork on the end of him. So, yeah, a few things to do with this little fella. So without further ado, we'll pause the video on this one. I'll do a fair bit of cleaning up with him, and we'll come back to him fairly shortly on the next video of more or less the part 2 of doing this. I don't want this to go terribly long, but now that we've got him apart, we can all see what's got to be done. So I won't bore you with the cap replacements. They're very straightforward. We'll probably record the we will record the changing of the repair of the on-off switch. I've done a few of those, so that should be reasonably straightforward. It's probably dirty contacts. So, yeah, okay, we'll leave it at that and come back to it. Well, guys, I think I was going to start with the caps on this thing. Now, I know this works. We've actually tried it and it does work, but these caps are pretty ordinary. But so is the rest of the chassis. It's awful. It's very corroded, dirty, everything. So I'm actually going to strip it out. I'm going to remove the speaker, the rod, the tuning gang, and I think we'll actually clean up the front. It'll mean the taking the dial cord off, but that's no big hassle. There's a broken pot shaft there, so I'm thinking, we might just strip this back a bit so that we can do something a little bit nicer with it. There's a lot of grot in here. My picture's a little bit dark there too. Sorry about that. We'll shed a little bit more light. That's probably a little bit better for you. And there's a lot of rubbish down in behind there in the bottom of the speaker, so forth. So now I'm going to start stripping it down. Unfortunately, I hate taking dial cords off. They're terrible things. But anyway, it works fine. But this is a vernier drive on the front of the tuning gang and is almost seized up. So that's got to be serviced anyway, which will be removing the drum from the unit. So we'll start by taking some stuff off it. Now, guys, just taking the aerial rod off. I've taken lots of pictures of wiring and so forth, as all of us should do. And lift him up gently. Doesn't want to come out of that side. The rubber has deteriorated on this side and got a bit soft on us. So certainly new grommets on there. Okay. Right. Aerial rod out. Now, we'll take this little fella off. I'll leave this wire on him so I know where he goes. Okay, we'll have to add some solder to remove some solder. He's a little bit old. Okay. Now we want to lift this little fella up, but behind him there's a bit of braid on the back of the tuning cap. I'll try and get him out of the centre. Would be easier than trying to get it off the tuning cap, I think. There we go. Got him out. Lift our tag strip off. One good thing about doing a YouTube clip, you can look back on it to see what you've done, so that if you've got a memory lapse when you're putting it all together, it's quite easy to look back on your footage. Say, oh, that's where that goes. But I do have lots of pictures and schematic, so all should be good. This doesn't want to lift up a lot, so a bit more solder, a bit more heat. Should have been using a little bit bigger iron for this. There we go. That's our RF choke for our external antenna, which connects into the rod. Now this fella is a wire. I don't. Yeah, I'll take him off. He's going to be a nuisance. It's the oscillator side of the tuning gang and goes down here to the board. Now I've just got to work out how that has been mounted. And he doesn't want to come off. There, fell off. Right. And as you can see, the tuning gang is very loose. The grommets in here have gone very, very hard, and yeah, that's very loose. So we'll take him out, which involves, yes, taking the dial cord off. Now, I don't know He goes out through the back, so there's a couple of turns there. He comes off. This will probably stay in its shape, which would be a good thing. Just take him out, and as you can see, but is the dial cord sus? Well, who knows? Certainly got to redo the dial pointer. So yeah, may put some nice new stuff on there. Now this obviously goes out through the back there. We'll unscrew our pilot light or dial light, as they're known as, and this has four. Yes, it does have four screws on him. And boy, these grommets, they're just falling to pieces. Right, the last fella. Now, is this going to come out? Yes. And there he is. And I'd say the grease in our little geared system is very, very hard. These, honestly, you'd think that was just a solid porcelain or something like that, not necessarily rubber. Take these fellas out before we lose them. And yeah, very interesting setup, this. Little geared drive. I don't know whether I've seen one like this, but it certainly needs cleaning. There is fluff absolutely everywhere, dirt, and he certainly needs new grommets. So we'll see to him. Now, I hope you guys are keeping tabs where everything goes. I might have to ask you some questions in the comment section before we actually finish this. Get one part of it up so that you can answer the questions on putting it back together. Right, these dial lamps. This is pretty unique for a transistor model. Unclip. And unclip from down there. I think the next thing to get out of the road might be the speaker. There's my phone. We'll pause this video for a moment. Okay, we'll resume. Gee, I've got a noisy chair. It creaks. It's quite a big speaker for a small transistor radio. This one. Yes, it certainly needs washing and a bit of tidying up. The cockroaches have been in amongst this fella. We'll certainly get some rust converter or something like that on that fellow as well. Shows he's not in the best of shape. Excuse my hands in there. Right. And we'll take the speaker out. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I'm fairly pleased we've gone this far. Feels great. Magnavox, 15 ohm, a very familiar speaker in its era. So, yeah, a little bit of, certainly some cleaning up there necessary. I'll put him up the back there. Now, what's got to be done now, I think the next thing is these fillers taken off. I don't know whether my trusty little pliers will do this or not. It depends on how tight they are. They're very tight by the feel of that. That one's not so tight. Got a sneaking suspicion this is not original. May not be. Mind you, we may need a new one yet. We don't know. Okay, he's out, and we'll have to grab something a little bit better. A spanner of some description to get this fella off. Right, now all this should come out as a wiring loom. Just got to bend these little brackets out slightly. And push our cables down and out. Okay. There we go. All out in one piece. Now, this is the switch for our dial light. That's our wire. So just untangle him and we'll unsolder him from over there. These wires are fairly difficult. They wrap the damn things around. They put them through the hole in the tag strip, but then wrap them around as well. Okay, well, let's take a look at this fella. Don't think this fella's original. And what is he? He's a 10K switch pot, so shouldn't be a hassle there in replacing that little fella. And that fella, a bit crunchy, but I would say he's going to be okay. And it makes this board very easy to work on as well to replace the caps. So I'm pleased we went an extra step further and got the guts out of the radio. So we'll put him up there. Now this fella, he comes up. Certainly don't want to break any of these bits. Yeah, I'll try and just tap him up. I think he's coming. Probably the best thing is to tap him this way. He certainly doesn't want to come out in a hurry. I certainly don't want to break him either. Yeah. Can we get that under? There we go. Yeah. Needs a bit of a clean out when he goes back in. Right. This side bracket is prop riveted on. This little fella down here, I would like to get that switch off, which looks like it comes off. There's a screw there to clean his contacts. And then we've got this cover, which may have to be replaced, actually. I can soon replace this. It's not really a drama, that one. These little pulleys for the dial cord are actually on there with little bolts, so I'll take them out because this whole thing will be probably dipped. Well, it may go into the sandblast unit yet. There's every possibility that it'll go into the sandblaster. So let's reposition you guys so you can see a bit more of what's happening there. Small screw, that one. Yeah, gonna need a smaller screwdriver on him. Right, there's a little nut on the inside of him. Yeah, get you guys in here. And that's what we've got. Switch. Nothing fancy. It's just a couple of contacts that touch along the edge. I'll put the screw back in so I don't lose the damn thing. It's one of those odd gold screws. After a while, you think, oh God, where did that go? It's the same with the E-clips. You take them, I call them God clips. They disappear in a hurry when they start flying. Right. We'll do him up. Now those two screws are in behind the front there. We'll work out getting this front off. And now we'll get something that will fit those little fellas. And we'll probably clean them out and re-grease them, so forth. Gee. A little bit harder than what he looks. He doesn't want to come out, this fella. We'll move on to these fellas and see whether they want to come out. Okay, got one out, and yeah, he's just a little pulley. Would certainly be worthwhile taking out, cleaning up, so that he doesn't present any problems when we're getting back together. Right, pause while we get the other couple out. Okay, I'm not real sure on this stuff on the front of this, whether it's a vinyl type material or a fairly stiff, thin cardboard. So I'm just seeing, is it going to lift? If it doesn't, well, we can easily either repaint or replace that piece of cardboard. think I'll replace it anyway. But at least if we get this off, it's a stencil for us. To make another one. And yes, I think it's some sort of vinyl, but it's fairly dirty, fairly brittle. So anyway, we've got a stencil that we can use to make another one. Take that other screw out, which is the bottom, one of the bottom speaker screws. And excuse me, and those two have to go back in before we put the front on this, the black covering. Just organising my little nuts and bolts here so I don't run amok with them. Okay, well, that's pretty well it. It's all apart, and I think we can use some rust converter on a few places. Clean him up, wash him. This is now sticky. Yeah, there's a bit of cleaning up here. All right, well, we'll do that as we go along, but probably the next job will be replacing the caps on the board. So yeah, and well, we can actually pretty well run the radio without putting it back in, but then again, probably just as easy to put it back together. Okay, we'll be back soon. Right, now as we continue, we've cleaned this fellow up a fair bit. We put some rust converter in down here. Just going to probably, I don't know, put something over this to stop it going any further anyway, but it's all looking reasonably good. Certainly very clean on what it was. A little bit there to clean up, but very nice. So that's the chassis. That's what we've stripped him down to. Now, the next thing is that I've noticed, I've cleaned this fellow up quite a lot on what he was. Probably still needs a little bit of cleaning in there. But our little gearing assembly here seems to be a problem because we turn him and that's the stop. If we turn him back, that's the stop there. And as you can see, nowhere near. So I don't know whether we've got a little gear that's broken in amongst this thing. This will have to come apart. This is the next thing, along with getting these grommets out of here. But yeah, we'll get this apart, and I guess we start by the screw there, and I think the front comes off this somehow. I'm certain the problem is in here, not in the gang itself. There doesn't appear to be anything in here that's catching or anything like that. So we'll start by doing this. I'll bring you guys in a little bit closer, and we'll pause the video for a moment. Right, so let's see what's inside this little fella. So I said I've never seen one of these. Now I'm guessing that comes off. Take this right out. Okay. What more is holding it? I don't really know unless we get something underneath the collar there. Ah, yes, here he comes. Ah, he's on a little spline. There we go. Right. Now, let's see if it's this. No. He's working lovely. Right. Obviously, there'll be a timing issue with this when we put it back together, but with this fella. But anyway, we'll try and work that out. No, he jams and he jams. That looks like a nylon gear, so I nearly guarantee there's, maybe we'll take this one off first. Nearly guarantee there's probably a tooth broken or something like that on this fella. Okay. Now I think that's got to come off. Okay. Right. Now for the exciting bit, to see what's in here and how we're going to fix it. Could be a 3D print job, this one. Okay. Geez, nothing wants to come apart easily. Here we go. Okay. There's our gear. And first inspection of that fella is not too bad. This fella, oh yes, we have a split. We have a split on the gear. Well, that's not good. That's not good at all. Now, does he come up? Right, he's out. And he's got a tooth there. It's gone a little bit sideways on us. And that could possibly be brought back. Don't know. We've got to work out what we're going to do here. Just see if he's going to. He doesn't want to push anywhere. But this fella. Yes, he split right along there. And of course, he's a little bit wider there, and that's jumping out of gear on this. So possibly a way of doing this is to heat the center slightly, maybe with the soldering iron, and trying to release him out of there. Now I think this comes forward. Yeah. All right. We'll get some gear and see can we get the center out. And once I can get the center out, we can probably actually put a little bit of super glue in there and squeeze him together. All right, we'll have a look at that. So what we've done here, cleaned up the gears, of course. We've removed the center pin out of this. It was fairly hard. I had to heat it fairly hot with the soldering iron, and eventually almost melted the plastic out of that little knurled edge to get him out of there. Now, what's happening is you can see the split, but when we push him in, he's that tight up in where this goes onto the end gear that it actually separates the gear. Now, if we take that back down, that almost closes up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this a little bit looser in here. It doesn't matter if this is loose on this piece. It's the knurled edge that fits just inside here that's the press fit, and that shouldn't be a problem. So maybe a little file or something in there. I don't quite know what we're going to get, but probably a file or something. To make this a little bit looser, then I will spread it slightly. Actually, we might do that. Yeah, we'll do the spreading and a slight amount of super glue just in the edge, and then press him together so that it doesn't spread anymore, and then we can file it out. So anyway, that's a good little project for us to get this fella working. The gang itself seems to run very nicely. Is in quite good order. So a little bit of grease. We'll wash this fella out And the same with the back here. We'll wash our bearing out and we'll put a little bit of grease in there to keep him going forever. Okay. We're I'm putting in got some alcohol on a toothbrush here to make sure he's nice and clean for the super glue. Looks quite good. Should take to that, no problem. Right. Right. Cleaned this fella up a bit, just with the wire wheel. I'm going to put my microphone on. Okay, we've cleaned this fellow up just with the wire wheel. And this fella has been glued with super glue in the split. And I've also put a chainsaw round file through there and put him in the drill, actually, at one end. So he was spinning and just got it out. So he just fits a very snug fit on there. Now, that is more or less perfect. It's not pushing the gear out at all. And this gear actually runs perfectly across that fella. So that's our gearing done. I'll give this a little bit of a clean up. We'll put some grease in him and start reassembling. Okay, I've removed the pots, unwired them from the board, disconnected all the wires, took lots and lots of pictures. I have cleaned the board up a little bit. So that's what we're looking at. Some multi transformers here and lots of electrodes to replace. There's a little mica there, but we'll test him. There's a little waxy there, which will definitely go. And, well, the resistors and those horrible things that vary value. So we'll probably go through one by one and check the resistance of all of them. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit time consuming, but I want this unit right once it goes together. So another thing I've done is I've cleaned the ferrite antenna up. Now, just looking at the end, looks a bit sus to me. It looks like there's a piece broken off, but it wasn't in the radio, and yeah, we can still make it work. It just there may be a little bit of difference in tuning for the lower end of the band, but I'm pretty sure this will work okay. Maybe that was always like that. Just looks rather sus, doesn't it? So yeah, and I've cleaned up the little switch for the light, so he makes good contact. Yeah, that's about all I've done. So now it's a matter of working out what I'm going to do with this on-off switch. Appears to work, but there's no continuity across the switch. So we'll have a look at that now and see what we can do with it. Okay, across the switch. We do have turn him on. This is rather odd. We have continuity. Turn him off. So this switch actually appears to be working now, but certainly wasn't in the radio. So going to take the back off him and have an attempt at cleaning the contacts. But before I do that, it's a 10K pot. If I can get a focus on him there, you can see him there. And, well, he has got a broken shaft. We can get around that. But I might have a look for a switch pot, a 10K switch pot, if I've got one. This isn't the original switch pot out of it, that is for sure. It's been replaced, and yeah, it was a fair bodgy job what's been done. So, okay, we'll have a look, and if not, I'll come back and we'll resurrect this one. Right, well, we've gone a little bit further with this radio. There was a lot of it, bits and pieces that I didn't tape because it was just boring bits. We've taken all these little pulleys off and greased them, if I haven't mentioned it earlier. We've cut some black cardboard out of just a cardboard sheet we got from Officeworks, spray glued and put him back on, and then cut the cutouts out with a knife. That came up fairly well because the other one was pretty bad. Actually, it was it was fairly damaged. Now around the back, as you can see, I've got the pots back in. We'll start at this one, the tone control and switch pot. Here's the old one. Had a broken shaft. I can I don't know where this camera focuses. But anyway, it had a broken shaft there, and I didn't bother doing the switch pot, pulling them apart and all that. This has been an add-on to this radio. It wasn't wired up correctly, actually. So, as I'll show you in a minute, we've done a little bit of rewiring. But I thought I'll just replace the pot. I had another 10K switch pot here in the workshop, so just replace that. So it was a little bit long, been cut off. The slot was not quite deep enough, so we've taken him down, actually just with a hacksaw, and then buffed him off with the wire wheel to make him nice and smooth around the back. A little bit different on the wiring. We've put the switch pot in here, 10K switch pot, and I have actually removed this lot, which was actually, some of the wires were too short, some were joined. It was a little bit of a mess. So I've got some security cable, actually, right colours, right length, speaker wire. We've replaced him and ready to put the circuit board in after we get the caps done. So now in there, looks fairly neat. And we've also put some black cardboard after I got rid of the rust down the bottom here. Just some spray glued some cardboard, black cardboard down the bottom there. So that will never rust again. So that's as far as we've gone, which is, I suppose, a little bit ahead of everything else. We've got this fella working, as I said in the last video, in the last segment there, working lovely, working nicely. So now we're sort of ready to put the board in. Oh yes, we cleaned the contacts on the dial lamp button, which is up there. A very primitive type of arrangement. So the next job that we're onto, which has made it fairly easy, is the circuit board. We've actually pulled it right out of the radio. Everything is written down and photographed as far as what wires go where. But interesting things with these is it's actually written like this one, wiper, volume control, WVC, tone control, where your earth is. What else have we got there? The high end of the volume control on that fella just in there, and that's actually, I'll get me finger out the road. I'll point him out. This fella is actually broken on the circuit board, so we're going to have to. That'll be the cap coming from the detector to the volume control, the high end of the volume control. So yeah, we're going to have to just patch him up. Otherwise, capacitors, and as I've showed you before, yeah, everything's going. Now I won't record all this. You know how the caps are changed. Also, better go through and check the resistor values, being these resistors. So yeah, it'll be a little while until we are ready to rock and roll with this one. So we'll do that, and I'll come back when that's done, and then we'll all install this board back in there together, and we'll all switch it on together and see if she's going to work. Okay, away we go. Right, well, we've done the capacitors. Just thought I'd give you a rundown on my progress. Give you a rundown on the progress of this as we go along. So we've done all the caps, certainly got rid of that waxy, and believe it or not, it was as leaky as hell. We put it on the meter after I pulled it out, and it wouldn't even read correctly. We put a meter across just to actually measure the resistance, and the meter got to about 8 meg and stayed there between the two. It didn't charge at all, so the internal resistance was about 8 meg. And seeing that fella is he's actually in the AGC circuit, would certainly destroy the operation of this. But anyway, all done so far. So now it's a matter of sitting down, doing and testing each of the resistors. Hopefully they'll all measure in circuit, so we can go from there. As far as what we've changed, there we go. And there is probably 2 in there that measured anywhere near their values. Everything else, especially these little fellas, gone. Just, yeah, most of them are open circuit. Okay, we'll get on with the resistors. Well, guys, this little fellow is it's taking a fair bit longer than what we thought with the video, and it's already been in around an hour or whatever it is at the moment. Going to split this rebuild of the Kriesler TransMantle radio. We're going to split it in half, so we'll do this as part 1, and hopefully you can join me for part 2, which will only be in a couple of days. So we'll get this fella all up, ready to go. The part 2 will be the alignment and the casework. But at the moment, well, you can see up to this point what I've done. So hopefully you'll enjoy this so far. We've also got to work out a battery arrangement, which will probably only be a pack of 6 AA's for a 9-volt battery pack for it. So I hope you can join me on the next one, part 2, when we finish this little fella. So far, so good. Okay, we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.